To me, that was probably the greatest time in car design. And this was the greatest car design of all time. But the car was never built. I'm a third generation, die-hard, hardcore car guy. My father and I have been building hot rods since I was 11 years old. My grandfather owned a Tucker dealership back in 47, 48. As I was growing up, one of his big stories that he would tell was what happened with Tucker. My grandfather probably first saw the Tucker Torpedo design in the Collier's magazine, and when he read things about fuel injection, disc brakes, aircraft doors, tubeless tires, rear engine, all these things that were maybe taken from the aircraft industry or the race car industry and applied to a passenger car, that was very exciting. There was nothing like that. There were no performance cars. There were basically just modes of transportation at that point, before the war. Then, after the war, a whole new sense of enthusiasm came across, and new ideas started to come to play. And when my grandfather saw that there was a chance where he can become a dealer for something on such a grand scale, that was very exciting.
At the time, I was only 4 years old, but it was so dramatic that I remember those times. Opening day, it was a party atmosphere. Just people were coming, from everywhere to see this car. It was a sight to behold. These were cars, if you just parked it on the sidewalk, it would have a crowd around it. The car was the celebrity.
My grandfather was an entrepreneur. What he liked about Preston Tucker was that here was a guy that was willing to shake things up a bit. They would be a dealership for a car that was going to revolutionize the way cars were built. He really felt like it was going to be a home run. They were all convinced that this thing just couldn't miss. They were officially open for business for 3 days. They took 130 orders. Of course, those cars were not delivered.
What happened is that the newspaper and the media started spreading the rumor that this was a hoax, and all the people that invested in it were being scammed out of their money. Everybody turned against Tucker when in reality he couldn't get the materials to make the cars. He didn't have enough time. They put too much pressure on him to get the cars out by a certain date, which he had to hurry through to get 50 cars to meet that. And then by the time he even did that, they already pretty much had him pegged as a thief and a scam artist, and none of that was true.
My grandfather returned every deposit that he took. All 130 deposits he returned out of his pocket.
That car would have been fuel injected, disc brakes, all-wheel drive. There was a lot more to that car. He just believed in the car. He spent the rest of his life wishing he had a Tucker and never did.
It deserves to be built.
It's the passion, a family passion. It must have came through in the bloodline. I don't know.
Either you get it or you don't.
He's going the distance. He's going for speed. She's all alone in a time of need. Because he's racing and pacing and plotting the course. He's fighting and biting and riding on his horse. He's going the distance.
I put together my first hot rod at 11. Where other kids, maybe their dads were insurance salesmen or something like that, my father was in the business of cool cars. Since I'm 11 years old, we've built cars together. Now we were ready to build a car completely from scratch. Tucker 48 is the car that most of us think of when we think of Tucker. That's the sedan that Preston Tucker built 50 of. That car was derived from something else. The car that we're building is based on the Tucker Torpedo concept.
This model is the image that my father saw when he wanted to become a Tucker dealer. This is the image that was in the magazine ad that my father seen. And he said, "This is one exciting car. I want to be part of this."
This torpedo concept was really what triggered him to put it all on the line. And I know that Preston Tucker felt the same way. This is the car that he really wanted. The task before us is monumental. All we have to go on is a model that was sculpted in 1946. Beyond that, nothing else exists.
I said, "Gee, if we can scan it, I bet I could work that in the computer to a full three-dimensional pattern." We cut it down into sections, and from those sections we machined out each and every little contour to make a full three-dimensional pattern. And my son Rob would then hammer aluminum body out over it, and we could create that car.
And that's step one in bringing this Tucker Torpedo concept to life. We're doing it in the same fashion that Preston Tucker would have. We're a small shop, we're just a few guys, and we're going to suffer through it from start to finish. We don't have billions of dollars behind us for development and tooling, and we're going to do it the hard way. We're going to cross each bridge as we come to it. I love the fact that we're able to kind of reach back there and pull something special out of history and bring it to life. I think if my grandfather were around to see this project, I think he'd be impressed.